While Isaiah may be pronouncing God's judgment on the surrounding nations, he may also be pronouncing his judgment on Satan. Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 90-day reading plan, today's reading is Isaiah 14, and I encourage you to read that passage. Well, it's clear that Isaiah is speaking of a time when God will judge those nations who plagued Israel with both captivity and harassment. It's also clear that God's judgment on Israel was because of the sin that they committed, and it is also clear that God executes judgment on the surrounding nations that he used to judge Israel. But kind of stuck in the middle of this passage is the possibility of a reference to Satan's sin. Well, verses 16 through 20 seem to address someone other than an earthly king. In Ezekiel 28, it's clear that he's addressing Satan, and Tertullian in 160 AD to 230 AD, and Gregory the Great from 540 AD to 604 AD, held that Isaiah was speaking to the same event. And this is a position that helps us understand the interaction between God's executing judgment on Israel and Judah because of their sin, and Satan's controlling those countries and rulers who are the ultimate vehicle of that judgment. Well, God uses many means to judge our sin, and according to James chapter 5 and 1 Corinthians 11, our sin can cause both illness and death. In addition, Job teaches us that God will allow Satan to mess with us, for lack of a better term, but he also uses nations to judge other nations. We in the United States are sitting on the edge of a judgment. We have never been fully as a Christian nation, but we have been a nation that's upheld at least the principles that God has laid out in the Scriptures. And many times in our history, our Christian values have been made very clear, but now it's not one of those times. Well, in many ways, we're saying how proud we are and how proud we are to believe what we do believe. We place ourselves above God and tell him that we are the power, that we are in control of our lives, and that he needs to take a back seat to us. We are due for a judgment, and this judgment is one of humility. We will be caused to become humble because our sin was being so proud.